And Shabbat Shalom, welcome back once again here to our channel, Light to the Nations, with the blessing that we have to be back, to be sharing this time with Shabbat with all of you. We would love to do it physically, to have a fellowship, but at least this is something that is warming our heart to have the ability and the possibility to partake this time with all of you, studying the word of YaHuWaH, growing in knowledge and the wisdom of his kingdom. And the most important thing is to know and get closer to him and to know his truth, right? We have this 1 week of recession because of our trip to the States. We have the amazing blessing to have a fellowship, face-to-face,
a mini fellowship.
A mini fellowship with Jimmy and Maria Isabel. And we are missing you as always, and it was so beautiful to spend the time with the both of you during the entire Shabbat, and that was somehow YaHuWaH opening the doors in order to do it, and enjoying the delicious food of Maria Isabel as well, right?
Yeah.
So
and learning that animals can pray too.
That's true. That's true. Maybe you can share the story.
I was amazed because when Maria Isabel was going to give some food to her dog, it was so funny. I just realized that she was like leaning over her here and everything, and saying some words, and then the dog was like looking and hearing, and he was waiting until the moment that Maria Isabel says amen, and then the dog started to eat. So she was like waiting for that, even for the prayer. So that was so funny. We can even teach our animals to do that.
That's fantastic. Even the birds are always praying to YaHuWaH. So I think all creation should be praying.
Yeah.
And that's why we need to learn and we need to teach others, even our pets and our animals. And we have such meaningful discussions on the scriptures with the Jimmy Maria Isabel. And we were so connected that we will do something similar that we were doing, continuing with the book of Hasson Revelation. This is what we were reading and studying last week. So we have an amazing time with the Jimmy Maria Isabel, and now we expect to have an amazing time, even though it's virtually. By continuing with the study of the book of Isaiah, Yeshayahu. We just realized this morning that we're only 3 portions more to finish the book. And I don't even remember how we moved that fast to complete this amazing book. By the way, before I forget, I saw a comment, I think, and also Jimmy, you told me about this, about the volume, and I would like to know, maybe just put the comment in the chat if the volume is much better today, because I was adjusting the volume. So please let us know if now the audio is as much.
Or if you need us to.
Yes, better or not. So today we are going to continue. Sounds good, JC. Perfect. Volume is good for me. Really good. Sounds great. And this is because of my voice and DDK. That's why it sounds great. I was just singing with Angela, and maybe that's why it sounded better. So today we are going to continue with what we mentioned is the portion. I think what's the number? It's 98.
The number.
94. Portion 94. And this is going from the chapter
57 and 15 until 59.
And we title this
Perets.
And it means
the repairer of the breach.
You like this, you need your lens. The repairer of the breach. This is something so beautiful that we will see in this portion, that we'll see what's the message, and this is so relevant, like in the previous portion, to the times we are living, and it's an important message that YaHuWaH is giving us in this time, that the world is becoming so crazy. There are so many things going on that we cannot keep up to speed to understand what's going on in the world. And we know that this is part of what is written. Shabbat Shalom, Angela, light to the nations. We will let her know, Karen. And so, yeah, sometimes it's so difficult to keep up to speed on what's going on because every day is happening something.
Yeah.
And that's why we need to rely so much in the word of YaHuWaH and what He's telling us in every portion, in every experience we are going through, every day, in every moment, in every prayer, in every study of the word, just to understand what should be our attitude, our behavior, our expectation. And we know that our expectation is in Him and in the soon coming of our King, Yahushua HaMashiach. So we will go to this portion from 57 to 59 of the book of Isaiah, and we will see what the Ruach is bringing today. I don't know if you want to share something before we begin, something that is in your heart.
That I think that how is starting this portion is going to help us to realize about how we need to look this life, how we need to realize what are we doing here. What is the objective of living this life here, and where we have to put our focus, our heart. I know that we love what YaHuWaH has given us as the life He has provided us. He planned everything so perfectly, giving us family, giving us the work that we have, the experiences that we have had. Everything has been a blessing in this learning process, but we need to know and understand that this is not the goal. We have a better place. We have a better quality of life that is awaiting for us, but only if we realize that He is behind everything. So we have to put our focus, our emunah in that expectation, because we are going to suffer somehow. Somehow we think that this is everything, and we are afraid of diseases, we are afraid of pain, of physical pain, we are afraid of losing things, but we have to realize that when we are losing things, there are better things expecting for us. So I think this is the beginning of this.
I think we will see most of that in the first chapter, chapter 57, because YaHuWaH is talking to His people, He's talking to us, and actually in one of the verses talking about all the generations of His people, so this is including us, and how we sometimes move forward from one situation to the promises of YaHuWaH. It's something similar to the comparison you were doing during breakfast. But anyways, let's not delay this anymore. Let's go to the portion. But as we always do, I have a song here that will help us somehow to connect with the Spirit, with the Ruach, and with the attitude that we need to have in order to study the word of YaHuWaH. So let me share this song with you, and then we will continue.
כי אמרתי
Amen. Yeraren, let's rejoice. And that's what we're expecting, to rejoice in his kingdom, and this is coming very soon. So let's pray together. YaHuWaH Elohim, we want to give thanks to you once again for giving us a new opportunity to have this virtual gathering, where we have only the intention in our hearts to seek your face, to study your word, to rest in you, YaHuWaH, knowing that we find protection where we find the source of everything, because you are the source of everything. We thank you, Abba, because you are the one opening doors and closing doors, opening the ones that is helping us to move ahead in your way of righteousness, and closing those that are somehow leading us to destruction and to astray. You are the one that is protecting us, O YaHuWaH. Thank you because you put the desire in our hearts to seek you, to study your word, understanding, O YaHuWaH, that under your wings is where we are safe. Sometimes we are so focused in everything that's going on in the world that we forget that we find rest and expectation and hope in you. And here we are, YaHuWaH, with the desire of our hearts to seek you, to know you better. And that's why we invite you, YaHuWaH, that you can be among us, that your Ruach HaKodesh be with us, filling our hearts, filling our beings. So we are echad with you, and we are echad, all of us, with you being your body, the body of Mashiach. O YaHuWaH, in these times of trouble, difficulties, tribulations, and fear sometimes, we ask you, Abba, that you can protect us with your Ruach HaKodesh, that you can put a hedge of protection around your people in these times where we see so much evil going on in the world. And we need your light, We need your Son, YaHuWaH, who is the light of the world, to shine in us, because that's the only way that we are going to feel protected, YaHuWaH Elohim. We thank you, Abba, for each one of your children that is joining us here today, and those that are not able to join today, but are able to be reached by this study, that you can bless them too. We ask for the blessing, Abba, over your entire people around the four corners of the earth, that you can make us lift up our heads in these times, and to fulfill the purpose for and the reason why you have been calling us in these end times. We want to surrender our hearts and our life to you. And in this moment, we ask you, Abba, that you can heal anybody that is suffering any disease, that you can rebuke the evil one from our surroundings, that you can warm our hearts with your love, with your compassion, and with your Ruach. Guide us, YaHuWaH, in everything we are going to do today, that your Ruach can speak to us and through us, that your Ruach can speak to our hearts, so we are able to understand your word and to understand and receive the message you have prepared for us today. Thank you, YaHuWaH, for your love. Thank you for your presence. And thank you for the expectation and the blessings and the salvation you are bringing to us by your right hand, your Son, Yahushua HaMashiach. And in his name we pray in this moment, because we know that there is no other name in the heavens and the earth. It's only the name of your Son, Yahushua HaMashiach, our King. Amen.
Amen.
We just taking a look in the chat a moment ago, and it's true, we saw what's going on with Shannon and this period of time of Halloween. Everybody's celebrating, even here in our country. And there's so much evil going on in the world, is that we need to be praying. We need to be seeking his face. Even I can tell you that today, while we're doing this broadcast, we live close by to a place that they're used to do events.
Yeah.
And there is
like a company events with
yes, and there is high music, with a live band playing music that we can hear all the time. So even when I was praying, it is so distracted that it's very difficult to get focused on what's going on. And this is exactly what's happening all over the places. We see in geopolitics, in economics, in politics in each one of our countries. We see contentions, fights, and we see so much sin around us that somehow is making it more difficult for us to get focused and to have the right attention and the right intention of our hearts in order to seek the face of YaHuWaH. But in this moment, though sometimes it's difficult, and all of us are going through those difficulties, is when we need to seek YaHuWaH the most in prayers, even if it is difficult, because we will find protection only if we are close to him. So it's the same words that Moshe was speaking to Joshua, and YaHuWaH was speaking to Joshua, is that we need to be strong and courageous. Even though that we see the world falling down before us, before our eyes, even if we see that, persecution, even though that we see in our hearts that is somehow difficult to get the focus in the word of YaHuWaH and in his ways, is when we need to be strong and courageous in order to do it with more strength, looking to the eyes of Yahushua, because he is the one giving us the strength, in the same way that there are so many places, especially in the book of Daniel, when Daniel was feeling that he was fading, and there was one like the Son of Man touching him and giving him strength. So we know that every time that we look and see Yahushua, he is going to be the one giving us the strength in the midst of any difficulty and tribulation we are facing. Okay, so having said that, let's move on. Let's go to the portion, chapter 57 of the book of Isaiah, Yeshayahu. And let's see. Just let me take a look here. Everything is in order. I think so. Yes. Okay, so let's move on. So we are going to read the chapter 57, beginning verse 1, and it says the following: The righteous one has perished, and no one takes it to heart. Uncommitted men are taken away, while no one understands that the righteous one is taken away from the presence of evil. He enters into peace. They who walk in integrity rest on their beds. So I think we can comment a few things here. Do you want to start?
What I was saying,
Yeah.
that we need to see sometimes those more difficult moments when we have to be separated from someone who is dear to us, that there is a hidden reason behind. Because Abba is so merciful that in his love he's taking away righteous people. So they are not seeing the evil that is happening right now, especially at this moment in the earth. So sometimes our suffering could be eased, I think, by this explanation of himself. YaHuWaH is telling us that he is taking people away from us because he wants them, that they can enter into his peace. And also that he said, they who walk in integrity rest on their beds. And I think that is something so beautiful, because when you can really have a good time when you're sleeping, when you feel that you don't have any worries, when you feel that you are so calm and have his shalom, that he is with you, it's like your night is going to be something different. Your darkest moment is going to be something different. It's because he is with you. So I'm not just talking about the physical sleeping mode. I'm talking also maybe sometimes when we have to endure in those darkest hours. If we are with him, he's going to provide us that shalom. Maybe it's not going to disappear, the problem or the night, but we are going to be able to walk in the midst with him. So
that's a beautiful word. And you know what I can add is that there is we can see in these the two verses, there is a direct correlation between being righteous and having an integrity of heart. And I was taking a look in the Hebrew, actually, because, there are a third one, somehow one is, there are characteristics somehow that are connected to each other. It's a righteousness, it's a righteous one, a committed man. The Hebrew for committed is the word chesed. So it's a hasid.
Okay.
And that word is lovingly, is translated in this version of the scripture, lovingly committed one.
So you stay there firm and you're not going to change.
Somehow also it's been translated as compassion. It's the compassion that we receive from YaHuWaH is his chesed. So righteousness, chesed, or loving commitment, and also integrity. And when we talk about integrity, what is integrity? What do you think? If we have to explain what integrity is, not what we know, not then literally on what is written in the word. For that we need to take a look in the Hebrew and to go ahead. But what do you understand by integrity?
It's a good person and a whole person that is not going to be like double standard. So it's going to be a whole, and especially under the eyes of YaHuWaH.
I think it's a good point. And what I was thinking is that the integrity means that you are the same within you and also in the outside. So you are not two persons. You are just one, echad. So everything that's going out, the actions that you take, somehow are connected to the intentions of your heart.
The reflection of what we have inside.
Exactly. Because, we see Mashiach having these debates with the Pharisees because they were doing everything only from the lips. Meaning that their heart were totally outside. And actually, he was quoting in some of the passages. He was quoting what we have studied in the book of Isaiah. These people worship me from their lips, but their heart is far away from me.
Yeah.
So that's not integrity at all. For sure, we will connect with the other one with righteousness and chesed.
This is going to be like the.
It's talking that the integrity should be for good reasons. We can have integrity in our hearts, but for bad reasons in the explanation that we're discussing, because we can be one outside and one inside, but for bad reasons. But the good thing is that he's talking about integrity in connection with righteousness, and this is exactly what's going on today. Righteous ones, it is written in other part of the scriptures that they're not righteous one, not even one. There is another place that saying that he will come back and he will find righteousness on the earth, a righteous one on the earth. And that's why his invitation for us is to walk in the way of righteousness. We were studying this in some of the portions in this book.
It's a learning,
his way of righteousness.
It's a learning process. So maybe when we were in the bad shape, we need to prepare, put all our effort to exercise those muscles and become to walk in his way. And it's always we have to be, I don't know, to have the desire in our hearts to improve and not to go back. That's the idea. So always it's going to be something bigger towards him. So
today evil is increasing so much, and I think there is nothing new under the sun. It is written. I think in the same way that we are living in days that we see evil increasing, we know that the same happened in the past. We know that during the times of Noah, evil was so great and huge and big, so expanded, that's why YaHuWaH decided to bring the flood. And during the times of Israel and the times of the kings, we study this as well, and somehow this word, it could be applied to those times too, was pure evil. That's why YaHuWaH decided to send them away. So, and we know that basically what's going to happen in these times is going to be something similar. Judgment is coming. And Yahushua is coming not as a servant now. He's coming with the sword in order to bring judgment. With what idea? Is to cleanse creation and to establish true righteousness. So we see today that even righteous people that are trying to speak up, no one is taking in consideration what they're saying. Even if they're dying, nobody's taking in consideration. You know what it comes to mind is what is written in the book of Revelation, in the 5th seal. You remember this one? I'm going to put you on this test.
No, you're bad because you know that I have not so good memory. Yeah.
Maybe somebody in the chat remember was related to the fifth seal. You're not going to pass the test today.
The 5th.
Let's see who is answering first. The 5th seal. What happened with the 5th seal in the book of Revelation? Okay. Let's see somebody's paying attention to what we're discussing. To see if you remember, we're going to do a quiz at the end. We could do that, just to test everybody.
Somebody. No,
nobody. Nobody remember what is the 5th seal. How come?
Somebody's going to
the martyrs.
Okay.
Yeah, okay. Finally. Okay. Yes.
Good.
Who are the martyrs? Are believers.
Yeah. Because
believers
they're
supposed
going
to be
attacked,
righteous ones.
And they're going to be attacked because of their belief and because they're defending the truth and the righteous.
Correct.
They are going to receive all the hate and all the actions from the rest of the world.
Don't you see the same this applicable to that specific people? They are going to be persecuted. They are going to be killed because of righteousness' sake.
Yeah.
And the same is going to happen with the two witnesses. It is written that the two witnesses are going to be killed, and everybody's going to be celebrating and even sending gifts, exchanging gifts between them, because they are so happy that finally these two person
they are not a problem anymore,
or two group of people, depend on the interpretation you have. It's not a problem anymore. It's not shouting and rebuking us because of what we are doing. So it's exactly what we see here. So it shouldn't be a surprise to us that if we are walking in a way of righteousness, that we feel and we see persecution. We see that maybe nobody's taking attention or saying, this coming again with this nonsense. No, we need to stay firm because the promises are quite beautiful. Because, no one understands that the righteous one is taken away from the presence of evil. So basically, it's similar to what happened with Lot in Sodom. He's
being rescued.
It is written in the book of Hebrews or the book of Jude, YaHuWaH, I don't remember which one of those, is that the being of Lot was suffering all the time because of the evil that he was facing and seeing in front of his eyes in the city. So somehow we can relate to the same thing because we see how evil is increasing, and time to time is painful. And why I'm saying time to time, because we need to be honest with ourselves. Sometimes we are so focused in other stuff that even though without knowing or without noticing actually, we are participating in the day-to-day, maybe not committing sin, but totally blind to see what's going on. But when we are awake,
or sometimes we just decide to ignore that.
Yeah, that's true. So when we decide not to ignore, or when we are awake, not sleeping, don't laugh, we are able to see, that there is pure evil around us. Evil. Understanding evil from the point of view of the scriptures and righteousness, sin, wrongness. So it's a blessing what he's speaking about that, because finally what he's giving us is the expectation and the hope for to enter into peace. Shalom.
His peace.
And in Hebrews, in the book of Hebrews, is talking about the final shalom. We are going to enter into peace, into rest. And what the book of Hebrews is talking about, when it's talking about the Shabbat keeping, the final Shabbat, it's talking about the millennial kingdom.
Complete healing.
It's going to be the Shabbat, the 1,000 years Shabbat, that is going to be, as you said, complete healing. It's going to be no evil anymore. It's going to be pure righteousness led by the hand of Yahushua HaMashiach. Okay?
Okay.
So let's continue. But come here, you sons of the sorcerers, you offspring of the adulterer and the whore. And let me just make a comment here. He's talking about two. He's talking about the sons and he's talking about the mother. So who is talking about? It's a new test for you.
Sons of the sorcerers.
So you can start with adulterer and the whore. Who is the mother?
The mother?
Jerusalem. We have been studying this and we have seen evidences in the scripture. And this is a new evidence that when we see in the book of Revelation, speaking about the whore of Babylon, it cannot be other than Jerusalem. We need to,
when she departed from YaHuWaH.
Yes, we need to decode the scripture with the scripture. So understand the scripture with the scripture. So Jerusalem is the whore, is the adulterer, and she has children. Who is the offspring of Jerusalem? Is the two houses, is the 12 tribes. So for sure. And again, this is a key to understand. It's an additional key to connect Jerusalem being the whore of Babylon, of Mystery Babylon in Revelation. And also the rest of the prophecies about that. And when I say Jerusalem, and that's another study, It's not only Jerusalem, the city, it's everything that's going on. It could be political, it could be religious, and I think it's going to be a combination of all of that that is going to make the mystery Babylon or the whore of Babylon. Okay? So if we continue, it says, against whom are you sporting? Against whom do you make a wide mouth and stick out the tongue? Are you not children of transgression, offspring of falsehood, being inflamed with mighty ones under every green tree, slaying the children in the valleys, under the clefts of the rocks? Among the smooth stones of the stream is your portion. They are your lot. Also to them you have poured a drink offering. You have offered a grain offering. Am I comforted in this? On a high and lofty mountain you have set your bed. There too you went up to slaughter a slaughtering. So he's identifying the transgression of his people. And it's like comparing. That's why it's so interesting how he begins the passage, comparing evil with the righteous one. And now he continues doing that and giving a detailed description of what is an evil one, what is an unrighteous person. I don't know if you have any comment before we continue.
Somehow, I remember that when you were saying no one was righteous at one moment. And I think all of us have things that we have repented and we have left. So when we read this, I'm thinking about how much we have learned in this path, but how still are a lot of people who are still doing the same thing that we used to do, and they are still blind, they cannot see. And maybe they are feeling, because I remember at that time that I was not understanding people who was not celebrating the birth of Jesus, for instance, and not celebrating a lot of things that were mixed with pagan things that I didn't know, that they were not good at the eyes of YaHuWaH. So I was thinking that I was kind of a good person, but then when you started and you start reading how YaHuWaH want you to be, then you can see that you were part in the past of this group. So we have to also have that compassion that YaHuWaH has, and that he allows us to hear that calling that he made years ago, and that he always have his hand over us so he can still show us, because I'm sure that still we have a lot of things to get rid of. So he's still expecting even more every day that he's giving us in this earth. I think that he's expecting that we can realize about more things that we need to renounce, because it's like everything has been a replacement of him in the past in our lives. So I don't know.
That's a beautiful thing that we need to remember all the time, because it wasn't us doing this. It was him pouring his compassion into all of us, and to lifting the veil a bit so we were able to see.
And our prayer should be the same for the rest of the people.
Absolutely, absolutely. So let me repeat this one, the verse 7. It says, on a high and lofty mountain you have set your bed. There too you went up to slaughter slaughtering. Also behind the doors and their posts you have set up your remembrance. For you have departed from me and have gone up to them. You have made your bed wide and made a covenant with them. You have loved their bed where you saw their hand. So, something that I told you earlier today, and this is something that I somehow saw it many years ago, but I never did a proper study on this, is that sometimes, if not all the times, when YaHuWaH is talking about mountains, this could be related to continents. And why I'm mentioning this is because we know that after the judgment that YaHuWaH brought upon his people, what was the result is dispersion. They were sent out to the four corners of the earth, and that was part of his plan. So if we understand when he's talking about mountain here in that context, that basically in a high and lofty mountain, it could be in reference to a specific region of the world. It could be in reference to a specific continent. And but even if it's not a specific one, when we think in the dispersion of the people, from that point of view, he's saying, everywhere you went, you have set your bed. There too, you went up to slaughtering. So every evil things that you were doing here, you continue doing it everywhere you went, and you somehow. What is the bed? What is the representation of a bed?
Intimacy.
Intimacy, and it could be covenant too.
And also where we are going to have some rest.
Yes.
When we are tired. So.
And it's a place of isolation, or no, it's not isolation. The word is a private place.
Yeah, private. Yeah.
It's when you can, as you said, you can rest. You can be alone. You cannot be distracted. It's a place of refuge somehow. But it's connected to intimacy and also covenant.
And also that when it's a couple, it's the place where the couple, show their love. So it could be compared to the intimacy that we have with YaHuWaH.
So
that it should be only one and one,
so
nobody else there.
Absolutely. In this case, he's saying you have had intimacy with anybody else except with me.
Yeah.
You have sealed a covenant with them. You have gone to a place of refuge, a place of isolation, a place of rest with everybody except with me. That's why he's saying you went up to slaughtering in that place. Behind doors, their posts, you have set up your remembrance. And again, you have made your bed wide and made a covenant with them, just to reinforce what we were saying. You have loved their bed where you saw their hands. So basically, I went to have intimacy with whom I should not. And I have loved that, and somehow saying you have adopted. You have forgotten everything you have learned, and now you have been made according to those ones. So, and I think you were doing some connection even related to this Halloween thing that's coming. Maybe you can comment, because somehow it could be connected to everything that we're discussing now.
Yeah, so when I was reading this about the mountains, I was thinking about important things that we put in our life, that we think that they are, something that are going to fulfill maybe our life too. And then when I was reading about behind the doors and their posts, you have set up your remembrance. I was thinking about when you can see, because I used to do that in the past, and I remember about Christmas and that kind of feast, the pagan feast.
How you there?
Yeah, how I did. Well, but I did it in the past. And I remember that I put some kind of decoration on the doors, and I have a lot. My house inside, it was completely decorated with all that. And it was behind the doors. And then when it says about you have made your bed wide and made covenant with them, I remember putting the socks in the bed and things like that, so I could receive some gift. So all that I could see here, that it was a pagan feast, but maybe not only that, maybe with all the rest of our things that maybe we love so much. For instance, I don't know, if I used to have a TV in my room, and I was watching and having all the time expending watching movies, and it was like for me, that's it. So it was things that I put all my energy in and replacing YaHuWaH. Yeah,
that's good, and let me make a comment here, because I just saw from video you something that is interesting, important, and somehow connected to what we discussed with Jimmy and Isabel last week. She said, prayers against thinking we are more righteous than others because we are following the commandments. You got it?
No.
Let me read again. And prayers against thinking we are more righteous than others because we're following commandments.
And we are not more righteous.
Yes, we are. If we think and we elevate ourselves because we are more righteous than others because we're keeping the commandments, we're making a huge mistake, because we are still under sin. We are in a path.
We're learning.
And learning, and we are removing sin from us.
Yeah.
But while we are living in this flesh, we are still in a flesh of sin.
Yeah.
Now we have the example of Mashiach. Mashiach was in this flesh and he had no sin. So it means that we can get to the same level and the same point of having no sin in us. But as we were saying at the beginning, you know, about the integrity of the heart, we can be keeping the commandments, but maybe within us, in our inner being, we are not right. Maybe there's something, and we will talk about that in the next chapter 58. Maybe there's something that is not right. So even though that maybe externally we are doing an action by keeping the commandments, maybe within there's something that is not right,
and maybe
it's making us unrighteous.
Yeah, and maybe that's nullifying all the good stuff that we think that we are doing.
Absolutely.
Yeah. And I think that is not. It's a good thing to see the progress that we have made.
Yes.
And I know that is what YaHuWaH also wants us to do. That okay, I was like that, and I'm in progress, work in progress, and I'm doing better than the 1 year before and things like that. But so we can see that all the rest of the people, they are having a different time, and everybody's going to receive the same opportunity, I think. And he's going to be very pleased at the moment that when we are realizing that we can, even what we have received, if we can share with others. So if we can help others, because that's how even in the work, everything is working. When you are going in a for instance, in a career or something, you are advancing, but you are preparing some other people who are going to take your place. Like Yahushua, he was doing that with the Talmidim, with the disciples.
Yes.
He was saying, I'm going to leave, but I'm going to leave you, and you're going to do things in my place, and you are going to be in charge of that. So it's like everybody's moving until at one point he's going to gather the whole creation at the same moment and see the final result.
That's why it's so important to be a hat. And that was, if you remember what we discussed last week with the Jimmy Marisabel, is about what does it mean to be a human? How we were created and how we are created. And the importance to have this connection, the connection between our inner being with our actions, the inner with the outer being needs to be a heart connected, and everything we do, the actions, needs to come from the inner being, the connection between the heart and the mind, and how to move into action, but the source of that action to come from the heart, but not only from the heart, coming from him. So because if we don't do it like that, it's going to be, as we said, just doing it from the lips, not doing it with the integrity of our hearts, the integrity of our being. Okay, so let's continue. It says in the verse 9, and you went to the sovereign with ointment and increased your perfumes, and you sent your messengers far off and lowered yourself even to Sheol. You have wearied yourself with your many wanderings, yet you did not say, I give up. You have found the life of your hand, therefore you were not grieved. So getting so used to a way of life, loving that much that way of life. And you know, this person is talking about wandering to and fro, not knowing our origin, not knowing to where and to whom we belong to. So, and this is so well pictured and connected in the parable of the prodigal son.
Yeah,
It's exactly that, you know, is the son deciding because of whatever to leave his father and to go and enjoy his life.
Maybe there is
without knowing.
Maybe there is an age that everybody needs to go through. That is an age where we are going to be more vulnerable to the temptation of the world, to the power of the wicked side, and it's going to depend on our humility and maybe our willing to return to our Father. How soon we are going to ask for his help and recognize, yeah, I did this, but I was wrong. I need your help, and without you, I cannot do anything. So.
But this is something we need to remind ourselves all the time. Especially now, there's this heaviness that we felt last week. If you remember, this heaviness all over the places. That is making it even more difficult for us to get this close connection with the Ruach HaKodesh, with our Abba, with our Father. So it's when we need to push it even more in order to have that connection, to break any wall that somehow is blocking and not allowing us to have this rest and shalom and connection with Abba. So it says in the verse 11, and of whom have you been afraid or feared, that you have lied and not remember me, nor taken it to your heart? Have I not been silent even from of old, and you have not feared me? So that there's such beautiful words from YaHuWaH that even somehow connecting that maybe you are afraid, maybe we're afraid of something, and that's why we have not remembered him. And as we were discussing at the beginning, sometimes it's not because of fear, though, there are many things to fear, especially with the wars and things that are going on today in today's world. But distraction. We are so distracted all the time, being afraid of fear or distracted, that we are not remembering him. And this is so key, is to remember YaHuWaH in everything we do, in every experience we have, is that he is everywhere. So, and this is what he's expecting for. Not taking it, not taking it to heart is, as you said earlier, is to ignore things in purpose. So it's not taking it to heart. It's just to have this inner being, observing all the time. And then just seeing, and we know this is something that all of us individually, we know that this is the way that we function. Is that we are observing all the time everything that we're doing. Sometimes we say we ignore because it's not important in the moment. But we are observing our words, we are observing our actions. This inner being is observing all the time what we are doing. So if we realize that we are doing something that is not right, if we realize that we are not acknowledging and we are not remembering YaHuWaH, it's because our heart is not right. And we need to repent. And we need to seek for forgiveness. And we need to change directions. So let me declare your righteousness and your works, for they do not profit you. When you cry out, let your collection of idols deliver you. But the wind, actually is the Ruach, but the Ruach shall bear them all away. And emptiness, if you look in the Hebrew, this is related to emptiness of something that is futile. Take them. But he who takes refuge in me shall inherit the land and possess my set-apart mountain. So instead of being in the mountains of the world, if we are taking refuge in him, and we are allowing the Ruach to drive away all the idols, physical, emotional, spiritual idols that we can have in the heart, we are going to be part of those that are going to inherit the land, and we are going to be in the mountain of YaHuWaH. So again, YaHuWaH comparing is like the two ways, the way of life, the blessings, and the curses is the way to that. And one shall say, heap it up, prepare the way, take the stumbling block out of the way of my people. For thus declares the high and exalted one who dwells forever, whose name is set apart. I dwell in the high and set apart place, with him who has a bruised and humble spirit, to revive the spirit of the humble, and to revive the heart of the bruised ones. And this is so beautiful because it's a promise. First, it's a promise that he is going to remove all the stumbling blocks, everything that somehow is preventing us to walk in his way of righteousness. And that could be situations, it could be experiences from the past, it could be traumas, it could be even people. It could be even beliefs, it could be even situations,
traditions,
and situations, places where we are.
Yeah.
He's going to remove all that away in order to clean the path for us to walk in his ways. And that's why, when we are facing some situations and we see that we are blocked, that we are facing persecution, that our surroundings somehow is impeding us to move forward, what we need to do, we need to claim those promises.
Yeah.
Especially, if we have the integrity of our hearts, trying to be righteous, a righteous one with Chesed. He is going to listen our prayers and he will remove the stumbling blocks. Though, this is, I think, also have a second interpretation, and it's related to the end times. It is written, I think we have seen this in the past. It is written in the book of Ezekiel. I don't remember exactly what chapter it is. When he's speaking about the second great Exodus, he's saying that he's going to put us under the rod, and we need to go under the road, and he's going to start filtering it up. So all those that are rebels and disobedience are going to be left out. So though that I think is going to be a real experience in the future, and it's going to be sad, knowing that even those that somehow are serving YaHuWaH today, maybe they are not able to cleanse their hearts. They are going to be removed. And then we need to pray for that we are cleansing our hearts today. So in order not to be part of those that are going to be removed, to the contrary, to be part of those that are going to be able to pass under the road and to get into the covenant. Can you imagine, let me stop there for a minute, because I think it's so relevant to each one of us, everyone, all of us, is that we have been doing all this effort, all these years, thanks to the compassion of YaHuWaH, that he has opened our eyes, and we have learned and known his truth, and we have been making all this effort to walk in his ways. But because we have not taken the action in order to cleanse our hearts and to be ready for the moment when Mashiach comes, that we are going to be left out. Even thinking on that is very sad. All the efforts, but we are failing in something that maybe is basic or something that specific. That's why, we need to pray all the time that YaHuWaH is opening our eyes in order to cleanse any aspect of our lives in order to be fully righteous before his eyes. And we have Mashiach, the one helping us, and the Ruach, the one giving us, the insights that are coming directly from the heart of YaHuWaH, in order to understand if there's some area of our lives that we need to cleanse and we need to improve. So that's something really important. So to finish, it's true, it's going to happen during second Exodus, but this is something that we can claim the promise even today. Abba, save me, deliver me from any stumbling block that is surrounding me, is not allowing me to serve you and to live the life that you have intended for me. So, and the Spirit, I just opened the scripture before we began. Yahushua said, "Blessed are the meek, because they shall inherit the earth. Blessed are the poor in spirit, because theirs is the reign of the heavens." And this is so connected to what is written here. Yahushua somehow was quoting, not directly, but somehow he was referring to what is written here. Because, the bruised, the poor, and the humble in spirit somehow are going to be revived by YaHuWaH. "For I would not strive forever, nor am I wroth forever, for the spirit would grow faint before me, even the beings I have made. And for me, this is so connected to what YaHuWaH said in the book that is written in the book of Matthew, chapter 24, speaking about the end times, that for the sake of the chosen one, he's going to shorten days.
Yeah.
Because if not, they can grow faint.
Nobody could have survived.
Exactly. For the crookedness of his unfair gain, I was wroth, and I struck him. I hid myself and was wroth. And he went on backsliding in the way of his heart. And as I told you, this is so connected to what is written in the book of Hosea when speaking about Ephraim. It's something similar, the description about what Ephraim did. And that's why he decided to send away the house of Israel and later on the house of Yehuda, because of everything they did in terms of idolatry and sin. I have seen his ways, but now I heal him. I lead him and restore comforts to him and to his mourners, creating the fruit of the lips, peace, peace to him who is far off and to him who is near, said YaHuWaH, and I shall heal him. But the wrong are like the troubled sea, for it is unable to rest, and its waters cast up mud and dirt. There is no peace, said my Elohim, for the wrong. And you have some comments on this, I think, right? Or not? Yes, you had.
No.
You made some comments before.
I don't remember.
You don't remember?
No. What is it?
About the wrong, again, he's doing the comparison. The righteous are going to have peace.
Yeah.
And they are going to receive healing from YaHuWaH. But the wrong will continue being wrong. And this is exactly and last week we were reading about this, what is written in the last chapter of Revelation. Who is wrong, continue being wrong.
And
who is righteous, continue being righteous.
And YaHuWaH is asking himself how they are not getting tired of that situation about the cyclical movement that is with no end, because I could provide them like healing, I could provide them peace, but they don't want to. So
I just said to finish this chapter, I want to refer to something that is written here. This verse 18 and 19, because Paul was quoting this in one of the letters. I've seen his ways, but now I heal him, and I lead him and restore comforts to him and to his mourners, creating the fruit of the lips. Peace to him who is far off, and to him who is near, said YaHuWaH, and I shall heal him. We go to the book of Ephesians, I think it's chapter 2. Yes.
Hey.
Yes. We are going to read from verse 11. It says, therefore remember that you once nations in the flesh, who are called the uncircumcision, by what is called the circumcision made in the flesh by hands, that at that time you were without Messiah, excluded from the citizenship of Israel, and strangers from the covenants of promise, having no expectation and without Elohim in the world. You see, it's so connected to everything that is written in the chapter 57. So Shaul, when he was speaking and writing this letter, he was thinking in the chapter that we are just studying and reading. But now in Messiah YaHuWaH, you who once were far off have been brought near by the blood of the Messiah, for he is our peace. You remember that he was saying peace for those far off and for the ones that are near. For he is our peace, who has made both one, having broken down the partition of the barrier, having abolished in his flesh the enmity, the Torah of the commands in dogmas, so the traditions and the laws of men, so as to create in himself one renewed man from the two, thus making peace. What are the two he's speaking about? It's the two houses. It's the same prophecy that is written in the chapter 37 of the book of Ezekiel. So it's basically restoration of Israel. I just saw a comment from Maria Isabel a minute ago when she was saying that the judgment is coming to the house of Elohim, and I think we are going through the judgment now. If you remember the circles that I was drawing last week in their home, is that now is salvation time for Israel. So he's judging the two houses of Israel, and even we Gentiles, even that maybe we are part of the house of Israel, or we are a stranger, a foreigner, that we are having the expectation to be grafted in, even if we don't have the bloodline, we are going to be part of any of the houses, and he is going to take the two, and they are going to be one in his hand, in the hand of Messiah.
And it could be also that is with us, like in the past, maybe we thought that we were like two people, one that is behaving in a bad way, or
it could be
and also
not having the integrity just to be separated.
So being one, and also being one with him. So when we are abiding under his wing, when we are living according to his instruction, is only then when we have peace. So we as also echad with him. We are one with him.
And it says, and to completely restore to favor both of them, and to Elohim in one body through the stake, having destroyed the enmity by it. And having come, he brought us good news, peace to you who were far off, and peace to those near. Because through him we both have access to the Father by one Ruach. So then you are no longer strangers and foreigners, but fellow citizens of the Kadoshim, the set-apart ones, and members of the household of Elohim, having been built up upon the foundations of the mysteries and prophets. YaHuWaH Messiah himself being the chief cornerstone, in whom all the building being joined together grows into a set-apart dwelling place in YaHuWaH, in whom you also are being built together into a dwelling of Elohim in the Spirit. He's talking about the two interpretation of the dwelling place of YaHuWaH. We as
part of the
body of Messiah, all together, as community, as a family, as people, and also individually this dwelling place of the Ruach of Elohim. So the point is that the expectation is so beautiful, and we see that all the promises and everything we have been reading, the warnings and the promises that we see in the chapter 57 of Yeshayahu, are so applicable. Applicable to us. We are not more foreigners, we are citizens of Israel. Okay? So let's move on. Now I'm going to remain in silence.
No, you have to read.
No, because I'm taking too much speaking on the 57, so I need to go faster. I need to read until the 7. Okay, let's go. Chapter 58. Cry aloud, do not spare. Lift up your voice like the shofar. Declare to my people their transgression, and the house of Jacob their sins. Yet they seek me day by day, and delight to know my ways, as a nation that did righteousness, and did not forsake the right ruling of their Elohim. They ask of me ruling of righteousness. They delight in drawing near to Elohim. They say, why have we fasted, and you have not seen? Why have we afflicted our beings, and you do not know? Look, in the day of your fasting, you find pleasure, and drive on all your laborers. And I think it somehow is to the comment we saw, where they're saying about, is we know, we delight on knowing his ways, we are keeping the commandments, but we are doing something that is wrong.
Yeah, because we're still
we're full of pride, maybe.
And we are still perceiving that YaHuWaH maybe is not noticing those efforts. He's not noticing maybe all what we are doing right now.
Yes, absolutely.
And if we notice that, is because we're feeling something that is not quite good, or maybe it's not the same relationship that we are having some days.
Yes, and that means that we are blind or asleep. Look, you fast for strife and contention, and to strike with the fist of wrongness. You do not fast as you do this day to make your voice heard on high.
Yeah, so that day they were being heard by YaHuWaH. It was a different intention.
And I think it's a beautiful connection he's doing, because we are transitioning from the previous chapter to this one, and the first thing he's saying is about declaring the transgression and the sins to the people. And we were talking about that just a minute ago in the previous chapter. But now he's speaking about fasting. So how fasting somehow could be connected to removing transgression, but doing fasting in the proper way. And here we see that basically they are doing it. They know they are keeping commandments, but they are doing something wrong within.
Maybe still there are some things inside that we don't want to touch or see or recognize.
Strife,
Yeah.
it says in the verse 4, strife, contention, doing our pleasures, doing something that is wrong. You know, if we do that and we are not doing fasting in order for our voice to be heard, why we want our voice to be heard on high when we fast?
Because we need His help.
It could be because of repentance, and we are looking for forgiveness, or because we are depending on YaHuWaH and asking Him to guide us in something, in a decision, in a problem we're facing, to have a solution, a way forward. We are counting on Him. We are going to Him in order to get His help as a counselor. So if we are doing something, if we're trying to do that, but there is something wrong in us, our voice is not going to be heard. If there are sin in us, our voice is not going to be heard. You know, it is written in many places in the scripture. Even this man that was this blind man that was healed by Yahushua, he was quoting to the Pharisees and the priests saying, we know that Elohim doesn't hurt a sinner. So if our voice is not heard, it's because we are having sin within us. So verse 5, is it a fast that I have chosen, a day for a man to afflict his being? Is it to bow down his head like a bulrush? I don't know if it's right pronounced. And to spread out sackcloth and ashes? Do you call this a fast and an acceptable day to YaHuWaH? Is this not the fast that I have chosen? To loosen the tight cords of wrongness, to undo the bands of the yoke, to exempt the oppressed, and to break off every yoke? Is it not to share your bread with the hungry, and that you bring to your house the poor who are cast out? When you see the naked, uncover him, and not hide yourself from your own flesh? So
it's like 2 steps or something like that. I think that is.
Yes, what we were talking, and we were reading this chapter during Yom Kippur, and what we were talking, I was telling you, if you remember, even today, that I think YaHuWaH is not against of afflicting the being to wear sackcloth and the ashes. We see this happening all over the scriptures, even with the people of Nineveh, when they repented,
they did
when they heard the message from Jonah, they did it. They afflicted their being, they were sackcloth, and also they were using ashes as a sign of repentance. But the point is exactly what we were discussing before. We can do other things, but if the heart is wrong, it doesn't make any sense. And this is exactly what YaHuWaH is highlighting, because the first thing that he's saying, and everything related to
like
inner things.
Remove what you have still inside that is causing you problem.
So what's the fast he have chosen is to loosen the tight cords of wrongness. So if we are wrong, it's because we have a knot, something that is so tight that we need to get removed. If we are not removing that something, we are doing something wrong, and we are fasting in a wrong way, because fasting should be specifically to remove that first. And everything he's speaking, in the way that I see it, is related mainly, and first of all, to our inner being. Because loosen the tight cords of wrongness, undo the bands of the yoke, something that maybe we are tied, it needs to be removed. Something that is basically leading us astray, we need to remove that yoke. To exempt the oppressed. Maybe we are oppressing somebody. And we have so many parables speaking about that. We need to stop it, and we need to remove it. It's an intention, an attitude of the heart that needs to be changed. To break off every yoke. So the same thing. We could be that maybe we have multiple ones. Maybe we have one here and the other one here. And this is basically moving us to and fro in different directions and not in the way of YaHuWaH. So the first thing we need to do, again, he's not against the outer manifestation of the fasting. Because if it's doing right, we are somehow doing an action that is connected to the intention of our hearts and the attitude. But the most important thing is to remove anything that is wrong within. We need to begin from within, from the inner being, and then to express in the outer being what is really here.
Yeah.
So, and after we do that, what he's expecting as part of the fasting,
that we can help others.
we go beyond.
Yeah.
It's not only
going to be
it's
only
not a selfish thing.
Yeah.
We need to start from the self, because if we're not starting from the self,
We
how
can-
we're going to be able to help others and to act and to be compassionate and to practice righteousness with others, with our surrounding, if we're not taking first care of ourselves.
It's like healing a wound. It's going to be from if you want to clean it, it's going to be from the clean part to the dirty one. So
Yes.
you have to start from one point that is already worked and is healing, and then you can continue with the healing.
And this is exactly what YaHuWaH was saying with the parable, when he's separating the sheep and the goats. He's saying, you saw me naked and you clothed me. You saw me hungry and you feed me. You saw me in prison and you visited me. And we know that he was speaking about his brothers,
Yeah.
our brothers and sisters, that we should do for them, and we should practice compassion and righteousness with them. And it's so interesting and beautiful at the same time that we see similar conditions. Give bread to the hungry, bring to our house the poor, and we know that there are many commandments about that. When we see people naked, to cover him, and not to hide ourselves from our own flesh, our families, our relatives.
Yeah.
And this is so complicated sometimes. Because we know, I think all of us, we have been facing this contention with our families when we began this
walk.
this walk. And I think we all have learned the lesson that we should not fight.
Yeah. It's not with contention. It's not
With love and compassion.
Yeah, it's with love and compassion.
So sometimes we are hiding ourselves from our flesh, and we have a testimony when we were visiting Europe, and we were giving some advice that we should not hide from family. You remember?
No.
Go and talk to your sister.
Yeah. Now, yeah, you're right. Yeah.
And the end result was beautiful. You remember?
Yeah.
So at the end, we need to show compassion, not to hide ourselves from our own flesh, because when we show them love, somehow they will see Messiah living
and
in us.
That is going to be the key.
If we show compassion, they will see Messiah living in us. Through our actions and our words, they will see that we are different. Through our actions and our words, we are going to be able to shine the light of Messiah with the rest. So I know that sometimes it's difficult, but you know why it's difficult? Because of pride. Because we are trying to push ourselves instead of denying ourselves and allowing Messiah to live through us.
And sometimes we want to transfer everything that is here and maybe here to another person, to somebody else. But it's not working like that, because they need to start opening their eyes first, and then they are going to receive a little drop of something. And then they are going to realize that they are so thirsty that they are going to want the same water that we are drinking. But it's not going to happen in a different way. It cannot be that we are going to bring a glass of water and tell him, open your mouth, I want to give you this water. Because they need to be thirsty to drink that water. Not everybody has the same capacity.
And instead of doing that, we can offer. Are you thirsty? You want to drink?
And that's something different.
It's different.
Yeah.
It's compassion, taking care of.
Yeah.
Instead of pushing, drinking.
Because everybody has a different kind of, velocity of drinking. And maybe some of them are going to make it just one sip. Some of them are going to say thank you, but I'm going to wait for later. So we don't know. That's only the work of Abba.
Yes. And yes, just to make a comment on what Maria Isabel wrote about this, and we know part of situations in every family that, family doesn't want to see us.
YaHuWaH was experiencing the same.
When that happened, we cannot fight back.
No.
We need to accept the situation and we need to pray for them.
Pray.
Because, in the same way that he opened and he gave us a chance, if we continue praying and interceding for our families, he will do something. I have shared with you my own experience when I was fighting a lot with my dad when he saw that I was keeping Torah. Basically I was denying Messiah, and we have huge fights and discussion, but in one moment we decided, okay, not anymore. And then now he understands, and he's keeping Torah and he's learning Torah, and it's not me, it's something that he did in the same way that he did it with me. With your parents is something similar. So sometimes when we try to force people, the end result is totally the opposite. We are trying to do the job of the Ruach HaKodesh. Who are we to do the job of the Ruach HaKodesh? No, nobody came to speak to us. Maybe somebody spoke to us, but nobody came to transform us. It's something that is coming from within, and the one doing it is the Ruach of Elohim. So we need to stop fighting. We need to take care of them. We need to show compassion. We need to pray for them if we are not able to do actions or to share words. The only thing we can do is pray into the one that is the owner of everyone, all the beings that he had created. Every one of us has a piece, a small part of Elohim living within us. We belongs to him. So if we are not able to do something physically, he is going to be the one.
And maybe somebody else is going to do something extra that is going to help them to see more.
Yes. And before continuing, very short, this could be also not physically applicable, spiritually applicable. If we see something that is somebody that is hungry spiritually, we need to give them bread. What is the bread? The word of Elohim. If we see somebody that is thirsty, we need to bring the Ruach of Elohim. The poor of spirit. We were just reading about the poor spirit. If we see somebody naked, provide them the spiritual coverage. Is to provide the spiritual coverage. And who is the one covering? It could be us somehow, but who is covering everyone is him. Okay? Your turn.
Okay. Then your light would break forth like the morning. Your healing spring forth speedily, and your righteousness shall go before you. The esteem of YaHuWaH would be your rear guard. So imagine that he's going to be a rear guard. Nothing is going to make us feel afraid anymore. So,
but just to make a comment, we can see this in the opposite angle, saying that we are not going to have light, or the light is not going to break forth as the morning
if we are
not solving those things within us, with the yoke, the wrongness, and if we are not doing externally with others, we are not going to have the full light as it is written here. So, earlier we said that we need to, that is going to be really sad after all efforts we have made and the compassions of YaHuWaH that he has been teaching us, that maybe we are going to be rebel at the end and we are going to be left out from the filter, under the rod. It's something similar here. So we always need to be working in our inner being, is to ask YaHuWaH to transform our hearts, is to remove everything that maybe is not right within us, but also doing the actions externally, allowing Messiah to live through us in the same way that he gave us the example. He gave even his life for other people. He was always taking care of the poor, of the sick, and so on. And he gave us the example of what we need to do. And that's why, he became the light of the world. if we want to be light of the world, we need to do his deeds as well. You can continue.
Then when you call, YaHuWaH would answer. When you cry, he would say, "Here I am." If you take away the joke from your midst, the pointing of the finger and the speaking of unrighteousness. So he doesn't like when we are making accusation from one, or see what he did. Can you realize how bad this person is? No, he doesn't like that.
Mm-hmm.
So if you extend your being to the hungry and satisfy the afflicted being, then your light shall dawn in darkness, and your darkness be as noon. So we have to be merciful in the same way that he was with us, that he was seeing that we were maybe, I don't know, with at the bottom of the trash can, but then when he saw that we were something that he can use and we can be rescued, he was so merciful that he put his own arm inside of that trash can to recover us. Is the same way that we have to act toward the rest of our brothers and sisters. And always see what you said. Everybody has a piece of YaHuWaH. So we have to focus on that piece of YaHuWaH and not the rest. The rest he's going to be in charge of and taking care of about all what needs to be removed.
We're all connected to the network.
Why?
Him.
Okay. And then YaHuWaH would guide you continually and satisfy your being in drought and strengthen your bones. And you shall be like water garden and like a spring of water, whose waters do not fail. How beautiful. It's like resurrection. We are going to be living in incorruptible bodies. So that is going to be so perfect. And those from among you shall build the always places. You shall rise up the foundation of many generations, and you would be called the repairer of the breach. That is the title of this Torah portion. The restorer of streets to dwell in.
Yeah. This is beautiful because I'm sorry for that, having some throat issues. No, I'm okay. It's beautiful because, it's talking, the repairer is somehow connected to people who work in stone and connected to walls. So if we think on two things actually, the destruction of Jerusalem, the two times that Jerusalem will destroy. And this morning I was reading a bit about that, in the book of Ezra. YaHuWaH made a way for them to come back, the house of Yehuda. And what was the commandment? Is to restore the wall, is to rebuild the temple, is to rebuild the city, and to restore the streets, to restore the dwelling place somehow, and to restore the breach. The breach of what? Of the wall. The wall, it means protection.
Yeah.
And if we think on the second destruction of Jerusalem that Yahushua was speaking about, that there were not to remain stone upon stone, he came to restore spiritually first, and he's coming to restore again. He's coming again to restore physically. So what was the promise is that we are going to be able to be part of, in the same way that the house of Yehuda somehow was allowed to come back to restore, we are going to be allowed, together with many others, to come back together with Yahushua. And actually in that return of the house of Yehuda, there was a Yahushua, the high priest, the same one that is being spoken of in the book of Zechariah, that somehow is connected to the branch.
To the branch.
Was the priest, Yahushua, together with the governor, and together with many people, coming to restore the city, the street, the dwelling place. And the same promise is for us, that we are going to be able to come back and to become a repairer. Now we have a tremendous responsibility that sometimes we don't realize, but we need to do. We need to realize the responsibility that is in our hands to repair the breach of the wall. Spiritually speaking, this is exactly what Yahushua did, to restore the streets and to restore the dwelling place. What's the dwelling place? Is this one. The streets, what's the street for?
So
It's to walk.
Mm.
Is to walk by. So is to restore the way for people to walk in the right way, in the way of righteousness. To repair the breach is to repair the wall, the protection we have around us. So who is the one destroying? Is the evil one. You know, the spirit of the Nephilims, what the Nephilim and the giants were doing, destroying, killing, many other things. And they continue doing so in their spiritual form. You know, maybe we should do a video of this, though that there are many videos out there, but we should do it one for us. Today, the evil spirits are continue destroying people. And they are using even technology, and they're manifesting themselves through technology to destroy people. And even they're calling themselves that they are the sons of the giants. For us that we have eyes to see, and we have understanding, and we have ears to hear, we know that these are manifestation of the evil ones, that the only one that they want to do is to destroy, and they are destroying people. And that's the responsibility we should acknowledge and remember, that we are being called to follow the step of Mashiach. And what Mashiach did, he was repairing the breach.
It was the opposite. He was healing. He was providing life. So
are we doing the same? Sometimes we're not doing it because we are taking too much time to heal and to restore this one. And we saw the cadence that, and it's not wrong. That we need to focus in the self and restoring the self, and then to go to others. But sometimes we're taking too much time on the self that we become selfish, and we are not following the step of our King, doing the same that he did, but repairing the breach, the spiritual one, and restore the streets and the dwelling. So it's something that we should think and meditate all the time. Maybe I'm wasting too much time in many other things, and we are not doing what we're supposed to do. You know, sometimes, I'm sorry I'm deviating, but I think those are important things. Sometimes I feel for myself, and it could be extended to many others, is that we have the tendency to make it so selfish, the opportunity he gave us by opening our eyes and showing us his truth. I was telling Jimmy last week is that we know nothing. We know this, but even when it is this compared to everything he knows, there's so much knowledge he gave us so far. But even with that knowledge, sometimes we tend to see it is that it's for my salvation, it's for me. Oh, thank you, YaHuWaH, that you open my eyes because you are giving me an opportunity. It's true that it's an opportunity, but this is like a job. When we're applying to a job, because we are seeking the opportunity to join a company and to get salary and to be useful for something, you know, is to spend our time. If not, maybe I'm going to be sitting and looking to the ceiling all the time.
And you need to work with others.
Yes.
With the team.
So we're looking for an opportunity, and when we apply to a job and we are chosen to do that job, we get the opportunity. But this is looking at it from our angle. If we put ourselves in the angle of the company, what they're looking for, a person that can do something to perform a role, a duty. And this is exactly in the kingdom of YaHuWaH. We are servants. What it means to be a servant, we are getting the opportunity to be part of the people of YaHuWaH, it's an amazing opportunity because this brings salvation and a true purpose. But what YaHuWaH, the company of the kingdom, is seeking and expecting from us is that we are going to perform the duty, and also to perfume maybe, to perform the duty of a servant. So when I have these thoughts on my own walk, and again maybe it's applicable for everyone, is that maybe sometimes we're focused so much in the angle of our side. Thank you, YaHuWaH, and we need to be grateful of the opportunity, but we are completely forgetting the angle of Elohim, that he gave us the opportunity because he wants us to serve him, and how we are going to serve him is exactly what we're talking about here.
And being part of something bigger.
Yes.
We are not alone. We are not the only one there doing an action.
Yes.
We also need to work with the rest of the people.
We're not going to do it physically again, because if we try to do it physically, we're going to go against the laws of the land. We're going to go against the plan maybe of YaHuWaH. The time of preparing physically things, it will come when Yahushua, he is on earth, our king, and he is the one destroying all evil, and he will begin the restoration. You know, I remember when we were reading in the past about and we saw it in the book of Kings, when they were celebrating and they were so happy and so engaged and so on fire of Sukkot, that when they came back from the feast and they decided to give another week.
Yeah.
Because they were so on fire on the feast of YaHuWaH, that they were so, full of the Spirit, that they decided to extend it in an additional week. That when they came back to their houses, what they did? They were with the... You don't remember? Oh my gosh. They came back, and on the way, they were destroying all the statues, all the idols. Okay, yeah. They were putting on fire all the idolatry of the land. And they were going with the hammers, destroying everything, and you wanted to do the same, with the... and actually you did something similar in the house of your parents. Yeah. Sometimes we have the desire to do that, but it's not the time. The time will come when we will do that, led by the Messiah. But what we have to do now is to remove the strongholds, the spiritual ones, because we see evil increasing so much. Are we going to sit as a spectator? Because if we do that, we are not following the job that we have been hired for. And that could be very, very dangerous, because if we are not fulfilling our duty, we are going to be fired.
Yeah, it doesn't matter if we sign a contract.
Yeah.
We need to be there every single day.
Yeah. Sorry, I deviate myself, but I don't know, I felt that it was relevant.
Yeah, interesting. And if you do turn back your foot from the Shabbat, from doing your pleasure on my set-apart day, and shall call the Shabbat a delight, the set-apart day of YaHuWaH esteemed, and shall esteem it, not doing your own ways, not finding your own pleasure, not speaking your own words, then you shall delight yourself in YaHuWaH. And I shall cause you to ride on the heights of the earth, and feed you with the inheritance of Yaakov your father, for the mouth of YaHuWaH has spoken.
The Shabbat.
The Shabbat.
It could be connected to the Shabbat of Yom Kippur because of the fasting, but it could connect it to the weekly Shabbat.
Every Shabbat.
Yes.
And I think that we have to delight in Him. And then thinking that maybe everything that we have 6 other days to do things in a good way, and maybe thinking, okay, this is going to do here, but that day, that special day, today is the day of YaHuWaH. Today is His day. He is the one, the main character here in this scene.
Good. So let's move on to chapter 59. Let's see what it brings.
Okay.
21 verses. Go ahead.
Look, the hand of YaHuWaH has not become too short to save, nor His ear too heavy to hear.
He's always hearing,
Yeah.
Everyone.
Yeah.
I don't know how he does it.
Yeah.
He's hearing everyone.
Yeah, so he's like the... So you can see how the human inventions wants to copy him.
I have been telling you about that.
So we don't have to fear. because everything that is happening here is a copy, and man-made copy that is with so bad purposes, but he has the right purpose in our life. He is doing things with the right reason.
He has antennas all over the places too, and that's why we're connected to his network.
Yeah. But your crookedness have separated you from your Elohim, and your sins have hidden his face from you, from hearing. So it's our crookedness and our sins what is separating us from YaHuWaH.
It's a reinforcement of what we were seeing in the previous chapter and what we were discussing,
Yeah.
Doing fasting, but with the wrong purpose.
Yeah, so if sometimes we think that he is not hearing, we have to analyze what is happening. I'm doing something that is not okay, so I cannot feel that he's hearing.
Or maybe it's not the right timing to receive the answer. That's why we need to always meditate and understand.
Always and speak openly with him. For your hands have been defiled with blood, and your fingers with crookedness. Your lips have spoken falsehood. Your tongue mutters unrighteousness. No one calls for righteousness, and no one pleads for truth. They trust in emptiness and speak worthlessness. They conceive trouble and bring forth wickedness.
Wow, this is exactly what's going on today.
They have hatched other's egg, and they weave the spider's web. Oh, this is like network. The spider web.
I call it some time ago the spider web.
Yeah. Whoever eats their eggs dies, and when one is broken, another is hatched.
But also, as I told you, maybe Yahushua was referring to this passage when he was calling the Pharisees and the Sadducees brood of others.
Yeah, because from there, a lot of lies were coming, not the truth.
So if we see the connection of what Messiah was referring the Pharisees with this passage, it's about unrighteousness, not speaking the truth, spoken falsehood.
Yeah.
And this is exactly we know that the Pharisees were doing. They were mixing truth with the lies, laws, commandments with the traditions of men.
Yeah. And their webs do not become garments, nor do they cover themselves with their works. Their works are works of wickedness, and a deed of violence is in their hands.
It could be that he's referring about the webs here. We need to take a look in the Hebrew, but maybe he's referring to the same web of the spider in the previous one. And we know that the web of a spider is not silk. It's not to make a cloth.
Even though they are trying to do something with the webs of the spider right now. Yeah.
So it's interesting that their webs that they are being referred to as spiders. It's not becoming garments. So basically, everything they said is not to clothe the naked.
It's not something that is going to resist, because a garment is something that is going to cover and give you protection.
Yes, and because their web is for a totally different purpose. What the web of a spider does?
Catch.
Is to catch
the food of the spider.
Yes.
So it's going to be catching their own food.
And they're not going to be able to be safe, to run away. They are going to be involved.
Yeah.
Actually, what's happening, what the spider is doing is to clothing somehow their prey.
Yeah.
But it's not garment.
No.
It's just
a snare.
To snare, to catch them and to eat it.
Yeah. That is going to be the end.
Okay.
Their feet run to evil, and they hurry to shed innocent blood. Their thoughts are thoughts of wickedness. Wasting and ruin are in their highways. The way of peace they have not known, and there is no right ruling in their ways. They have made crooked path for themselves. Whoever treads in them shall not know peace. Therefore, right ruling.
Sorry.
Yeah. Therefore, right ruling.
But let me. Again, there's a lot of descriptions here. So, if we compare this to the Pharisees, and this is exactly what Messiah said to the disciples: beware of the leaven of the Pharisees. And he was not speaking. The disciples didn't understand at the beginning. He was not speaking about physical bread. He was speaking about the doctrine, the teachings. So all the description we see here is exactly that: falsehood, false prophets, false teachers, people, and not it could not be not necessarily is a person in a type of position. It could be anybody. They're speaking not the truth, and that could become snare. And we need to be so careful of that.
And also, I was thinking about the term of Pharisees, because also YaHuWaH was referring to them when they were so jealous or zealous, I don't know how to say that word, of maybe what was written, that they began to add more things that were not necessary.
Yes.
And sometimes, maybe at one point, we were being like a Pharisee at the beginning, especially in my case, especially me, because I was like this, and I wanted that everybody could see these things in the same way. And at that moment, I was a Pharisee, because I was even doing things that were not written in Torah, but it was because of tradition, and I thought that they were good and before the eyes of YaHuWaH. But it was my thinking. I was not even asking YaHuWaH, what do you think about this? This is okay with you? And then I was having this kind of character, like, okay, I have heard this, that give maybe a man a little of kind of knowledge, or no, I don't know if knowledge, like kind of little power, and he's going to abuse of that. And sometimes we can do the same. That they feel, okay, I have this, I know this, and you have to do it in that way. And that was bad.
Good. I should record you in the past.
Yeah.
Just to show it now.
Well, that's good, because YaHuWaH allow us to look back and see, okay, you can change this and that.
There's no right ruling in their ways.
Yeah.
Mishpatim. They can show themselves, following commandments, but they have no right ruling. You know what the Messiah said to the disciples? Make sure that your righteousness is higher, exceed the righteousness of the Pharisees.
Yeah.
They show themselves as having righteousness, and maybe they have a little bit of the righteousness of the kingdom and the word, but
they needed more.
It's mixed.
Not only the knowledge. They needed more, the attitude, everything, the compassion.
So we need to, that's the analysis, the inner analysis we need to do all the time, evaluating ourselves. Are we true that we have integrity of our hearts? It's not an easy way, but it's a beautiful one. And actually, it's not difficult either. It's just a matter to analyze ourselves, and we are true to us and to Him.
Yeah. Therefore, right ruling has been far from us, and righteousness does not reach us. We look for light, but there is darkness, for brightness, but we walk in thick darkness. We feel for the world that like a blind, and we feel us without eyes. At noon we stumble as a twilight, in deserted places, like the dead. All of us grows like, I don't know if it's grow like bears, and moan sadly like doves. We look for right ruling, but there is none. For deliverance, but it's far from us.
It could be related to, what is written in the book of Micha, I think, is that we will thirst for the word of Elohim, and it's going to not be available.
Yeah. For our transgressions have increased before you, and our sins witnessed against us. For our transgressions are with us, and as for our crookedness, we know them.
And it's exactly as we were the example I was giving before, the inner being always observing. We know.
Yeah, when we are doing something that is not okay.
Yes, we know when there's something is not okay, and we ignore purposely. So, and I think it is perfectly written here, is that we know them, it says. Our transgressions, our crookedness, we know them because we are conscious. Sometimes, for sure, we are ignorant. We are not conscious of what we are doing because we don't know. But when we know, we are always observing.
Yeah. transgressing and being untrue to YaHuWaH and turning away from our Elohim, speaking oppression and apostasy, conceiving and pondering words of falsehood from the heart.
Yeah, those are the characteristics of a brood of others, transgressing the commandment and the word, being untrue to YaHuWaH. What it means to be untrue to YaHuWaH?
We are not being honest.
Honest with him, even though that we know that he knows everything.
Yeah.
And turn away from our Elohim, so decided to go in different path.
Yeah.
Speaking oppression and apostasy, so oppressing people.
Yeah.
Apostasy
and maybe
is
denying also.
Exactly, and not remembering him.
Yeah.
Apostasy is to tell people to go in a different direction, to depart from the way.
Yeah.
Conceiving and pondering words of falsehood that are coming from the heart. And it's so important, the heart is important.
Yeah. And we cannot change what YaHuWaH says or what he has instructed us to say. We cannot change that, or we cannot try to soften something just because we don't want to other people to see us in a hard spot, maybe. I don't know if it's hard spot, but in a different point of view. We have, in a very respectful way, always keep the side of YaHuWaH. We cannot change that. He only has one side. What is good, and what is wrong. So we cannot change that. Sometimes we are going to I don't know, maybe because we don't want to hurt feelings. We are not going to hurt feelings if we say things with love, with compassion, but always saying what is according to YaHuWaH.
Wow, the next verses are so interesting and relevant for today.
And right ruling is driven back, and righteousness stands far off. For truth has fallen in the strait, and right is unable to enter. Wow. Yeah, that is what is happening.
And read the next.
And the truth is lacking, and whoever turns away from evil makes himself a prey. And YaHuWaH saw, and it displeased him that there was no right ruling. And like in the time of Noah.
You remember the video we were taking a look yesterday about this Ben Shapiro discussing with the 20 young people. One of the discussion before you fall asleep, one of on the table.
Okay.
One of the discussions about moral and law.
Yeah.
And then these young people not understanding that, and actually this guy Ben Shapiro was doing an interesting connection between morals and Elohim.
Yeah.
If we don't have Elohim, we are not going to have morals. And we don't have morals, how we are going to be able to live in society. And the young people that they were debating him, and many of them, they were not making this connection. It's like moral, it's not important. And it would replace the word moral with the right ruling, with righteousness, with truth.
Yeah.
We're talking exactly the same thing, For people today, and this is so sad, and we were talking yesterday about this, the youngest generations, I don't know what happened with them. We see so much, and I'm sorry to say it in this way, but weird people in the youngest generation and everywhere. No country is exempted. Yeah. We see, in the youngest generation, people that, they deviated themselves. It's like, something happened and we didn't see it. And now we see, not everybody, but the majority, in that in the external being, a more difficult one is in the internal, in the thinking, in the way of thinking, in the way of feeling, and so on. They are totally offset.
Yeah.
And we know what happened, this is the work of evil spirits working in this world for so many years, and especially in the last few years, that, it has been an explosion of evil and darkness. And we see this manifesting himself in the youngest generation. So, and it's exactly, what is written here. The truth is lacking. And those that are deciding to turn away from evil, what's happening to them?
They're going to become the prey of the others.
Correct.
They're going to be receiving the attacks of their I don't know, their environments or the rest of the people. But you know what? What is called my attention is, even though evil now is targeting to younger and every year younger people, those who are awakened to the truth and those who are seeing what is right, they are learning even more faster.
Yes.
That the rest of us, that our previous generation.
That's true.
They are like this.
Yeah.
And I know that in the future, even that is going to happen with the children.
Yes.
When they are going to wake up, they are going to be so quickly changed that their actions are going to be even, I don't know, in a very short period of time. And I think that is because time are being shorter.
That's
so
true.
I think that is the way that YaHuWaH is
But we have
doing
the expectation and the promise here. YaHuWaH is always seeing everything that's going on.
Yeah.
And when we see these things happening, it becomes a displeasure to him.
Yeah.
A displeasure that there is no right ruling. There's no mishpatim on earth. So what he's going to do about it?
And he saw that there was no man and was astonished that there was no intercessor. So his own arm saved for him, and his righteousness upheld him.
Could it be, that I just saw it, and could it be that when he's saying there was no man related to what's going on today, this whole push of transforming men into women?
It could be.
That's one option. The second option is that men today are not acting as men.
Yeah. And they're not righteous.
Taking the role and the responsibility of being a man and lead.
Or the one that are, maybe they are not righteous as they should be. But it's so beautiful. That's a scripture that someday I imagine, like YaHuWaH, using his own arms to rescue us.
And that's a promise, There's no intercessor.
Yeah.
And for those that say that we don't need an intercessor because we can go directly to Elohim, we can say here directly in the word that a reference of seeking and looking for an intercessor. Moshe was an intercessor. Mashiach is an intercessor. That doesn't mean that doesn't mean that we don't have a personal relationship with Elohim. We do, because we have a part of Elohim in us. How come we are not going to be able to have a relationship with him? But we always need a leader, somebody that is interceding with us. So, and since he didn't see an intercessor, and let me go back just to put an example. The same happened when we study the book of Judges, Shofetim, that YaHuWaH was raising judges time to time, and they were leading the people in the right path. They became the intercessors. And when the people were missing a righteous one, they were doing whatever they wanted, and they were going astray until they decided, and they started to cry out because they were doing, and YaHuWaH was setting a new intercessor. And this is exactly the same pattern. And now he's sending his own arm, as you were saying, to save. And we know that this is Yahushua. He sent Yahushua to begin the process, and he's sending him back.
It's interesting that it's part of his name. In the name of YaHuWaH, the first letter, the Yod, it's an arm. It's an arm. It's so beautiful. It's a hand that is going or addressing to that man that is like kind of looking up and is keeping safe from death that is coming, from the separation that we are going to have if we don't allow him to rescue us.
Correct.
So it's so beautiful. And he put on righteousness as a breastplate and a helmet of deliverance on his head. And he put on garments of vengeance for clothing and wrapped himself with order as a mantle, according to their deeds. So he repays.
And I think he's speaking about his arm. Yeah. Because he's saying his own arm saved for him, and his righteousness upheld him. And he put on righteousness as a breastplate. Just imagine Yahushua. And a helmet of deliverance on his head. So he is bringing salvation, and he put on garments of vengeance for clothing, and he's coming with garments with vengeance now, and wrapped himself with ardor as a mantle, and he's coming.
And I remember when he said that he was feeling this ardor when he entered to
the immersion of fire.
Yeah, and to the temple in Jerusalem when it was transformed and everything. According to their deeds, so he repays wrath to his adversaries, recompense to his enemies. He repays recompense to the coastlands.
So who says that the works or deeds are not important? According to their deeds, so he repays.
Yeah.
So is grace
and
works,
actions,
both things.
Yeah. And they shall fear the name of YaHuWaH from the west, and his esteem from the rising of the sun. When the distress comes like a flood, the spirit of YaHuWaH drives it at it. And the Redeemer shall come to Zion, and to those turning from transgression in Yaakov, declares YaHuWaH.
That's the second coming of Yahushua. He did it, on the first coming. He came to Zion, but he's coming back.
He's coming again. As for me, this is my covenant with them, said YaHuWaH. My spirit that is upon you, my ruach that is upon you, and my words that I have put in your mouth. The 10 words.
And the truth.
Truth and everything. This shall not be withdrawn from your mouth, not from the mouth of your descendants, nor from the mouth of your descendants, said YaHuWaH, from this time and forever.
It is written in the book of Revelation that what is coming out of his mouth? A sword.
Yeah.
And what's the sword? The word of Elohim. So what should be in our mouth is the word. He has put his word in our mouth. So those are the words that we should speak.
And then I would like to read this in YaHuHanan, because you said that,
Yes, but let me make a quick comment, because in the same way that, and again, in the book of Ephesians, Shaul was quoting this chapter as well when he was talking about the armor of Elohim.
Right.
And it's exactly, in the same battle gear that Yahushua put himself on, is the same battle gear that is available for us in order to fulfill our job as servants. We were talking about this in the previous chapter, and now we see how Yahushua was appointed by Elohim in order to bring salvation and to become the repairer of the breach, as we were discussing. And now that battle gear is available for us. And this is so well connected to what is saying here, and they shall fear the name of YaHuWaH from the west, and his esteem from the rising of the sun, when distress comes like a flood. And who is doing this? The Ruach of YaHuWaH drives at it. And not only that, what's the covenant that he's making with them, with his people? Said YaHuWaH, my Ruach that is upon you, and my words that I have put in your mouth shall not be withdrawn from your mouth. So he's giving us his word, the word made flesh, Yahushua, the word of Elohim. But not only that, the Ruach is upon us. But I think it's beyond that. It's not only upon us, the Ruach should be dwelling
in
us.
Yeah.
And that's a promise, and we should take hold of that promise, especially connected to what we were talking before, is that we have applied to a job, we have been hired for that job, we need to fulfill that job of a servant. How we're going to do it? With the words in the mouth, also the Torah written in the heart, and the Ruach of Elohim dwelling in us.
Yeah.
John?
Yeah. YaHuHanan 17.
YaHuHanan 17. Okay.
And it's the part of the pray that he did. And
what verse?
I think that from I cannot see, sorry. I cannot see the little numbers. From the 14 until the 17th.
Okay, there you have.
I have given them your word. Then we just read about this. And the world hated them because they are not of the world, as I am not of the world. I do not pray that you should take them out of the world, what is happening right now, but that you keep them from the wicked one. They are not of the world, as I am not of the world. Set them apart in your truth. Your word is truth.
Your word is truth. And in Tehillim it says, your righteousness is forever, and your Torah is truth. In 119 it says, you are near YaHuWaH, and all your commandments are truth. In the same 119 it says, the sum of your word is truth, and all your righteous right rulings are forever. So though the world is seeking to remove truth from the earth, though the world is pushing and the evil spirits are pushing to remove righteousness and right rulings, mishpatim, from the face of the earth, we know who is the owner of the world, who is the owner of the earth, who is the owner of everything that has been created, including humans, said that his righteousness and his right rulings are forever. So it doesn't matter all the efforts that darkness can do or can push forward. At the end, we know what's going to happen.
Light is going to prevail.
But we need to make sure that we remain light, because we can get contaminated, we can be deviated, we can be deceived. And it's up to us, to remain into the light. And again, as it is written in the chapter 58, removing any oppression, any tide of wrongness, removing any yoke of bondage, and then serving. Then serving. It's not only for us, it's to serve, it's to fulfill our duty and to bring light. Go ahead.
What you said about that, I remember about this explanation that they made about people who are suffering from Alzheimer. That there is one point that they cannot recognize anything, they forget everything. And they were checking that how the neurons they were working, that the neurons work together one with another. They just are being in a change, and they are transferring the message. They are taking the electric pulses, and they're providing and spreading the message somehow. And we are like neurons. If we are doing our duty and we are not just keeping for ourselves and just focusing in ourselves, we are going to continue there. What is happening with people with Alzheimer, they realize that some of the neurons, they start not reaching to the rest of the neurons. So they are starting hiding some of the arms that they have. And they were realizing that all the technology that we have today, computers, cell phones, especially all these kind of programs that are trying to engage you and not having the concentration and how can I say this, that they are with short-term
memory.
But it's not short-term memory, it's short-term attention.
Yes.
Well, I think that they want you to have your attention, but just for little time, so you can get bored easily. So, and they said that this is causing the same effect. When you're thinking you need something and you're just looking there. And it happened the same when you feel that you don't need anybody else. When you are looking into you and you think that you're not going to need, or you cannot add something that you have received to the life of somebody else. So if we see that we belong to a very big structure, that we are just a piece of that, then we are going to continue in a healthy environment, in a healthy body, and we are going to do our work.
And it's happening to us as well, you know. We are trapped and caught on these situations, and this is part of what we have been talking and we're sharing with Jimmy Marisabel. Is replacing the system YaHuWaH has created and his own network, replacing with the artificial network. That we need to be so careful and not to get caught. We can participate, we are in the world, but not to get caught.
And always everything can be used in different ways, in a bad way or in a good way.
Excellent. So it's been a beautiful portion.
Yeah.
We took more time, almost
yeah.
2.5 hours in our comeback. But this portion was, I think,
A good
important,
one. Yeah.
beautiful, and I think it's so relevant to the times we are living. We need to continue, as I saw in a comment there, showing these words and comments, this portion, because YaHuWaH for sure is speaking to his people in this generation in the same way that he has spoke to his people in previous generation. And if we are truly believing that we are the generation living in the end times, I think there's so much evidence of that. We should take and acknowledge the responsibility that is in our hands to understand these words, understand with the time we're living, and most important, to apply those words to our lives and to the role, the responsibility, the job, the service we have been called upon. And I think that's a message we need to ponder all the time. We need to meditate, we need to pray about, but most importantly as well, after doing all of that, is to put in practice, to put into actions. You know, it doesn't matter that we think we know if we don't do. And the doing, the actions in the outer being needs to be connected in harmony with our inner being. Should be the flowing from Elohim through the inner being to the outer world, not the opposite. If we allow the opposite to be a part of our lives, and again, it's something we need to learn with time, maybe we're going to be influenced, as you were saying, with everything that's going on in the world. And we are always in that fight, you know, in that fight that we need to realize if we are living according to his word and to his kingdom, or we're living according to the kingdom of the world. Having said that, it's been a pleasure and a blessing to be once again here in the comeback.
With everybody,
And we will continue next week. Keep praying for us. So YaHuWaH is opening doors so we can serve him more and more. And to be healed. I'm having this throat, not only me. You also somehow have something again. And Cristobal also a bit sick. But besides bringing physical healing, is to wake us up completely, to do his will and to do more for him in a day to day. And just Corina, if you're wondering, I'm standing, not sitting. Okay, and just saying.
And I'm sitting. I'm sitting.
Okay, so
and keep praying for everybody. Remember, for all those that we need, that they have a specific needs that they have shared here. I'm going to read the chat later, but if you need some specific prayer, add it into the chat later or the comments, so we can address in the proper way how to support each other. And also having in mind that there's a lot of people we even don't know that they are having some struggles, and that we can have them in our prayers. Sometimes maybe you're going to have a name on your dreams. Maybe you're going to see a name that call your attention, and pray for them. Even for the people that you are talking to maybe in a supermarket and someplace you don't know, you see his tag name, pray for them while you are speaking with them.
Yes, we need to follow the guidance of the Ruach. Sometimes we feel something, we need to do it. If we restrain ourselves, we are not allowing the flowing of those living waters to go through us.
Yeah, and keep praying for Judy, our sister, who is facing his, how can I say, his privada de libertad, ¿cómo se dice? She's
in prison.
In prison, yeah. So she can
freedom.
Yeah, she can have the strength that she needs at this time.
Yes.
Yeah.
Yes, and I'm moving too much because Karen and Corina realized that I'm standing. That's not good.
Okay.
Anyways, we love you
Yeah.
all.
Yeah.
Yeah, we saw the comment over there that you love us too.
Mm,
But we
yeah.
all of you, even though that we don't know all of you, but we love you from our hearts, and we know that we know you in the Ruach, and we know each other face to face. I think very soon. So thank you so much for joining us, for spending this time in Shabbat with us by studying and reading the Word of Elohim. I think the best thing we can do during Shabbat is to do this and to enjoy this time, enjoy this time together. Even though the distance, we are far away from each other, but
it's YaHuWaH who makes us feel that we are kind of close.
But we feel so close.
That same love is coming from Him.
Yes.
He is providing everything.
So we hope that you are going to continue having a blessed Shabbat, and if He will, we are going to see each other next Shabbat to continue. I think we're almost ending with the YaHuWaH with the next portion. So thank you so much. YaHuWaH be with you all. Shabbat Shalom.
Shabbat Shalom.
And see you next week. Bye-bye.
Bye.